Hey y'all, how y'all doing? Welcome to Rest Mama. Y'all know this podcast is dedicated to supporting and uplift moms during their journey through motherhood. Baby, we're going to talk about rest, relaxation, the power of a community, stories, tips, everything in between to navigate your life. Being a mom, whether you're a single mom, a new mom that's navigating sleepless nights, or a seasoned married mother that is kind of balancing that whole event of livelihood when it comes to being a mother and as well as a parent and a wife. This podcast is for you, y'all. Let's get into it. Y'all grab y'all something to drink, get y'all something to eat, and let's get into today's episode. So today I was going to talk about dating because I just had something happen to me last night and it was so funny. And if you're listening to this and you're my close friends, you gotta know. I might do. I don't know. I might do a little subscription for my close friends because y'all. I have some stories to tell, and I always tell them in there. But I was going to talk about dating as a single mom. But I really want to have some other moms come in and give their perspective on it. So I'm kind of locking in some dates with them. So that may be next episode, if not the next. But today we're going to talk about self-care and mental health, what that looks like as far as managing stress and anxiety, finding time for self-care, and getting into resources for you to assist with your mental health. First things first, make sure y'all like, subscribe, follow my Instagram pages here. I got about 3, 4. I don't know if I told you guys this, but I am a travel advisor. So Rest Mama has another portion to the organization. Let me talk about Rest Mama a little bit. Rest Mama, actually, we are a organization that help mothers find the perfect balance between themselves and motherhood. My goal is to be able to provide community resources, things of that nature for moms in need, and not even necessarily moms in need. You may be well off, but you need a community that you can come to and talk to, moms about everything. This is a raw and unedited version of those. It ain't cookie cutter. Baby, we're going to talk about everything you know, everything in between. We literally are not going to hold no bars when it comes to Rich Mama. Um, it started by me interacting with the young lady who was in a car accident, and she was just telling me how she was just so fed up. She didn't have support, she didn't have community. But she's not the only person that I've ever experienced that with. I've always run into the grocery store at one time, and probably was maybe like last year. I remember this woman. She was in the store and she was with her kids and she was stealing food, and they were gonna lock her up. And I was like, please don't lock her up, y'all. She trying to feed her babies. Her babies is home. And she didn't have like junk in her cart, y'all. She had food where she was about to cook her kids dinner. And I was like, nope. Come on, let's go buy you some groceries. I've done it to another young mama by my job. She walked into my office and she was saying that her and her baby hadn't ate in days. And I went and took my own my own money and bought her groceries. A lot of stuff that I don't talk about or show, but at the end of the day, these things happen. I'm always in it, and it just hit me that there needs to be an organization where a mother can feel like she doesn't have to always, be on point, that she has a community that's going to assist and help her. She's going to get the resources that she needs. Them babies going to get the resources that they need. And, we're going to rock this shit out because motherhood is hard, right? Two, go get these books, y'all. 7,000 miles. If y'all want to know the tea about my life, because I'm gonna be talking about a lot of stuff in this podcast. But y'all want to know the background and the tea, baby, it's in here. This actually starts from my diagnosis at the age of 6 up until my life now, my divorce, what I went through in my marriage. This book is where it's at. And actually, a lot of people ask me, how do I do it? How do I stay, you do this motherhood thing so effortlessly, and it's not all glitz and glamour, baby. Behind the camera, it is ghetto, okay? And I don't put up a front. If you know me, I'm gonna be straight up front. I'm not providing Instagram, social media, real. Like I've always been upfront, but this book literally catapults everything that I've been through, things of that nature. And y'all also know one day which is my 30-day journal that I created for myself. I journal a lot. I have a lot of calendars and things of that nature, but I just want to create something that was simple and like in tune with me. And I know it's a lot of people out there that just want the simplicity of like a journal that has daily prompts. It has like a to-do task list on one side, and then it has daily prompts, the affirmation, and it even asks you like, how are you feeling for today? And sometimes what I do is like I look back from what I said yesterday and today, like how can I make myself better? Like how can I change the things? And did I get everything accomplished that I said I was going to get in that day? So one day, my 30-day motivational journal and 7,000 miles are available on my website, which I'm going to put here. You can also get it on Amazon, which might be the quickest way. But getting these books to my house has been stressful. But I am going to shift back to my website soon. On my website, there are a lot of other things that are just like keen to me and some things that you may like. And then my books will be available on Target Online, Walmart Online, and Barnes and Noble, which I'm pretty excited about. So let's get into today's episode, y'all. Like I said, we're gonna talk about self-care and mental health and what that is like. For me, I am not a licensed therapist, and I'm actually going to give some resources of some ways that you could get therapist needs from the high end to budget friendly ways. I think that having going to therapy or knowing how to process your mental health is very important. I don't think that anyone can do it on their own, and if you think that you don't need it, that's a sign that you do. Everybody comes with something. You've experienced something in your life, regardless or not, and you don't recognize that it is a foundation for your triggers, your habits, your moods, and things of that nature. And so, going to therapy or having a therapist or whatever the case may be, if it's really on the mental health side, like a psychiatrist, where you have to have medication for it, I definitely suggest that you guys do it. Like I said, I'm not a licensed therapist. These are just things that, from my experience of being in therapy for over, I'm 40, maybe about 20 years. Yeah, maybe about 20 years. And the things that I do in order to manage it, because it doesn't go away. Stress does not go away. Anxiety will not go away. You just have to know how to process through it. And so, yeah, manage your stress. Oh, too, another disclaimer. I'm doing my podcast and recording it a little early today. So you might hear my kids. Y'all know it's unfiltered. You know, I'm kidding about no glitz and clam. And I thank you guys for being so patient with me, things of that nature. I am production. I found myself a lot of times waiting on people to help me, and I just had to take the plunge and just do it. So regardless of how it looks, it's not going to be fancy. It's not going to look like y'all up to date podcast, things of that nature. I got a camera, I got a ring light, I got a computer. I know how to do the basic stuff. I appreciate y'all holding with me. Maybe I'll get a sponsor that can sponsor and make this aesthetically pleasing for what I vision. But right now, I have to do this. Like, I have to do this. Like, this is another piece of me being obedient to the purpose that is on my life. So I have to do it. No excuses. This week has been an amazing week. I caught up on some of my rest. I just been chilling. I just been relaxing lately. I've been doing a lot of research on things, ways that can help my nonprofit and the rest mama. Finding different avenues on how to get funds to come in, things of that nature to support those mamas in needs. Because just the other day when I was in the grocery store, there was a mom putting back groceries, and I was like, no. I feel like if there was a provision, there's going to be a provide. And so, I was like, nah, put that on my tab. I'll take care of it. And I want to be able to say, like, Rest Mama did that. You know what I'm saying? And so just being able to hunker down and really, really focusing on what it is that I need to do. I shared also with my close friends that I'm finding myself in a place to where um I know that I can do this. Like, I'm finally believing in myself. Imposter syndrome is crazy, y'all. If y'all don't know what imposter syndrome is, go look it up. I'll put the definition here. But it literally controls my life, or had controlled my life. I'm getting a grip on it. But it literally controls my mind. I I think spoke about it in the last episode. If you have not, go like, subscribe. My podcast is on Spotify. It's about to be on Apple Podcasts. I'm just waiting for that approval, but also on YouTube. Y'all gotta go listen to the intro, the last two episodes, because we're on episode 3. Yay! But I was talking about my what I do, and I love my job and things of that nature. But I had a aha moment the other day while I was at work, and I run my reports at work, and the type of business that I'm in, it can be considered quote unquote a sales position, which it is. Like you're closing a bond, which is aka closing a sale, right? And I pulled my reports and I generated the amount of money that I've made this company in a 3 months time, and then from January to date, and then from when I started with the company. And y'all will not believe how much money that I bought into this company. Um, it's crazy. It's crazy. Up to date, well over, close to. I don't even want to say the number because I don't want to get into it, because I'm talking about mental health and self-care today. I might have another anxiety episode at this point. But just know that on a daily basis, I can bring in the lowest minimum, maybe $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, to the highest $12,000. And I don't count. I count the day, so my 12-hour shift. So even though a bondsman may have started a bond or whatever the case may be, at the end I have to close the bond, right, in order for the business to be made, right? And I'm a good closer when it comes to that. And so generating that money that comes in my specific amount, and then when we talk about an office goal, I said to myself, there's no way that I cannot generate that income for myself, right? And so that literally put me in a place of, just as one day, that the goal that I had set for myself, I'm not reaching. And I'm not reaching at the maximum capacity that I could reach. I'm reaching it at my job so I could keep my job. But that is not translating over into my my bank account, right? And so I had like I had like an anxiety attack. I was at work and I literally had an anxiety attack. um and the tools that I use for it not to literally put me in a doormat state or go into a depressive state is what I'm going to share with you guys today. So at the top of the year, I set some goals for myself, and I went out and I bought mini champagne bottles, right? And on my champagne bottle, I got a goal set. And so if I reach this goal, then I get to open this champagne bottle, right? If I could calculate the amount of money that I made, I probably would be able to open up this bottle from year to date to now. But I don't. I think when I went into my anxiety and I had my anxiety attack, I was like, I don't physically see that now. And what can I do to change it? And so the tools that I've learned, so kind of going stepping back, and I talk about this in 7,000 Miles. I experienced postpartum depression. I didn't know what it was until after I had my second child, but it was one of the worst. I've had some pretty bad seasons, but that one, baby, I don't wish postpartum depression on nobody. If you've never experienced it, kudos for you. Shout out to you. You deserve 5 stars. But if anybody that has experienced postpartum depression after having children, you know that shit ain't no joke. My depression was kind of weird though. I didn't feel the need of wanting to leave this earth. I was scared to leave this earth. Like, I had it in my mind that every day I was not going to wake up to see the next day. I was scared that I was going to leave Cameron here without a mom. I would get choked on eating or drinking anything. Like if I drank water, I would get choked on it. I'm all like, I'm going to strangle myself. So I started to not eat because I had the fear of, or I started to not eat alone. I would always wait when someone was around me to eat food or even drink water because I didn't want to choke and somebody find me and my baby sitting there crying and his mama's gone. It was weird, y'all. Um, the physical aspects of my postpartum depression, or depression in general, I was diagnosed with panic attack. Um, I had a panic attack disorder, anxiety, and postpartum depression when I finally got diagnosed. I was also going through a thyroid storm, so my thyroid levels were off. I talk about in my book about, maybe one day I can talk about my health. Oh, I think I do have a episode where we're going to talk about health and wellness, so I'll get into that a little bit more. But I was my body literally was physically going through trauma. At the physical aspects of depression, my head would tingle, so my whole head would tingle. So I thought I was having a stroke or a seizure. Like it would tingle like little tiny pins would be pressing in my head. I would have very, very, very bad acid reflux, but at that time it didn't feel like acid reflux. It just felt like somebody had a knife and it was like taking and turning it in my stomach. I had heart palpitations to the point where I always thought I was having a heart attack. It was a lot. Okay. And so after I finally got was diagnosed for what I had, it took one physician because I went to like doctor's visits and they would just dismiss me and things of that nature. They would give me Tums and say, "Girl, go home." I remember my family would be like, "You're crazy." My ex-husband especially would be like, "I'm not doing this with you. Like you literally are crazy. There's nothing wrong with you." And that was hurtful to and well. So that made me even sad because I'm like, I'm not making this up. Like literally, seriously, like there's something wrong with me. To the point where I'd almost wanted to check myself into a mental health institution because it had gotten that bad. Like I said, family just didn't recognize what I was going through, things of that nature. They just thought, "Oh, girl, you get over it." But soon enough, I really got diagnosed, and they sent me to a psychotherapist, psychiatrist. Did I say psycho? Did I say psychotherapist? Is that a word? Is that a term? It might be. But a psychiatrist first to ensure that I needed to be put on some mental health medicines, and they did put me on a few medications. They weren't working, and they put me on the highest medicine that you could ever be put on. And they was like, but don't take it every day because it can be addictive. And then I got an anxiety attack and panic attack because I didn't want to be addicted to a medicine. So it was just a lot. And so I remember my physician at that time, she was like, you need to go to therapy. There's something else, dormant that we're not seeing. Um, and we done gave you the medicine. We done helped you talk through it. We done diagnosed you. Like, you need to go see a therapist. So I found a therapist. She was very, very, very good. I do advise when you do find your therapist, make sure it's somebody that don't just go to anybody because everybody can't be your therapist, right? You want to make sure that y'all match, like y'all on the same spiritual level. Like you just match with this person. And I had seen a couple of therapists at that point. But when I finally found her, she was amazing. And she literally advised me or let me know or recognized with me what I was experiencing, and this was normal. And so I was able to then at that point navigate um, my mental health and know how to really process it. I remember one time she was asking me, like, "What is your house like? Like, just describe to me your house. Uh, like, what does it look like? What y'all do?" And so I was telling her how my ex-husband worked at night, and so we slept during the day. So we had like everything was closed, like everything had to be dark because he had to sleep in the dark, right? And so she was like, so during the day the blinds are closed, everything is dark, closed blackout curtains, things of that nature. And then when he finally go to work, it's dark time. And I said, yes. She's like, "Oh no, baby, you got to get some sunlight." And so that's one thing that I do. When I feel like I'm sad or depressed, I literally go out and sit in the sun. At my balcony off of my bedroom it gets sunlight beautifully every day. And so I, make sure that if I'm feeling that way, I go out and I sit in the sun. That's one of my healing capabilities, right? But you know, things progressed and things of that nature. I thought I had a handle on it and things of that nature. And then I went through the whole divorce. My marriage was very traumatic. I went through a divorce and I just was sad at that point. I grieved my marriage. Like, divorce is like someone passing away, but they're still living on earth. And then I have to co-parent with this person. And your self-esteem is just shot, especially for what I went through. I felt like I was never enough. You know, those type of things kind of play into your mind. Sometimes it's not all the devil. Like, you can't rebuke that stuff, because those things, like certain things that you go through, is engraved. Like, it literally is imprinted on your brain. And so I remember at that point in time, and while I was going through my divorce, or after I had went through my divorce, found another therapist. She's very well known. She's amazing, but she ain't play no shit at all. She will pray for you, but then get you together in the same sentence. Like, she ain't play like none of it. She kept me accountable for all the excuses that I had or tried to make up. I remember one time I was telling her something. She asked me something, and I was giving her the surface level, and she's like, "Don't play with me. Like, don't stop playing with me." And so she kind of gave me these tools and resources in how to combat stress, anxiety, and depression. And I'm going to share those things with you. So, um, how I do it. A lot of people always ask me the question, how you do it, how you do it, you do it. My first weapon towards managing my stress, anxiety, and depression is calling what it is. Like, calling it what it is. Like, literally putting a name to it. Something happened, or I have a feeling that I'm sad today. Okay, Agatha, you're depressed. Second step, and she said it was very important to me for a person to call it. Don't sweep it under no rug. Don't really say, "Oh, I'll get over it." This, or substitute something that'll make you happy, like having a drink or smoking a joint or whatever the case may be. Y'all listen to me talking about smoking a joint like I'm from the 1970s, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Or overindulging in food, cookies, cakes, ice cream, and pies. Like, don't substitute that feeling. Like, call it out and recognize what it is. I am depressed right now. I'm very sad right now. The second thing is, she said, recognize what triggered it. And so that's what I do. I'm so sad today. But yeah, what triggered this? Like, what was said for me to feel this way? And like I said, this week when I was working, because I was, about to have, I had a whole anxiety attack, and I was, on the verge of being depressed for today. I had to recognize, like, oh wait, Agatha, there was a goal that you set for yourself, because you visually see it every day. Now you're physically seeing it on a spreadsheet, and you're worried that you're not going to meet or get to that goal. So the trigger was the spreadsheet, something that I just normally do. I run my reports, but that triggered me. I remember one time, when I was dating my ex-boyfriend, he had did something that triggered um me, and it triggered a trauma that I experienced in my marriage. And although I was able to communicate that to him, that literally was the reason why we broke up. Is because he thought one thing, and I'm trying to explain it like, no, this is what I'm doing. And obviously, for me, I feel like he just didn't want to deal with it, which is, that's his choice. And so, me recognizing that, okay, you triggered me in this, I'm gonna, recognize that I'm being anxious because you triggered me in this, and then actively communicating what you're experiencing, not crashing out, not jumping off the deep board, not overthinking, like really truly actively communicating what your feelings are and what you're experiencing right now. I think the maturity of it when you're doing that, not only with yourself, but someone who's sharing with it, is them recognizing what it is. So, so calling it out, recognizing what triggered it, and actively communicating. Those are the three things that I do. And then I work through the process. Like, I'm not the person that will blah. I used to be, but going through therapy, it taught me that I can't physically do that every time. I have to process it, because a lot of times, your traumas and triggers are not the responsibility of other people, because they got shit going on too. So you can't really dump that stuff on other people without you processing it. Yeah, we like to vent, we like to rant, things of that nature. That's perfectly fine. But I feel like if you're going to do that, you need to vent and rant with yourself first. You know, writing it in a journal, writing it on your phone, um, recording yourself on a video. I sometimes do that. You know, I'll just sit and just record myself. That way, when I'm done, I go back and listen to it, and it's like, girl, you said, what? Now you overreact. But I'll do that sometimes. Sometimes I will go to my closet, and my closet is like my crying praying room, whatever the case may be. I'll do that. Literally, these tools will help you being able to process it, because like I said, stress, anxiety, depression is not going away. There, you could tell me like, oh, okay, I'm not depressed anymore, but something may trigger you to put you back in that space, bro. But how are you going to be able to properly process or walk through it and heal from it? Yes, I don't think that I, I think that when you for me, this is my opinion. Like I said, I'm not a licensed therapist or anything like that. I'm not a professional when it comes to these things, but I'm speaking to what I know for me. I can't properly heal from a specific thing if I don't take the necessary steps to walk it through or process it, if that makes sense. So in a sense, you're always actively healing. People be like, get healed before you come over here. That's not the case. Because I was going to talk about dating, I actually had a story from one particular guy, and I'll mention it. And the reason why I'm mentioning it is because it has something to do with mental health. um he was saying, you know, the whole, hey, how you doing, this, that, and the third, et cetera, et cetera. And we got down to the point where he was talking about how he was picky. He said he didn't have a type, but then he was picky. And I said, well, if you're picky, that means you got a type. And he's like, nah. He's like, I just don't deal with people bringing other past traumas from past relationships into the new one. And I said, oh, I get that. I said, but what if, you know, you haven't really processed that trauma? What if, you know, something triggers you and you're in a relationship? He really couldn't give me no answer, because he really didn't. He said he really couldn't give me no answer. And so I said, I think that it's important that, you know, you're always going to be triggered by a trauma that you experience, whether it's a childhood trauma, whether it's a teen trauma, whether it's an adult trauma, where it's a marriage trauma, where it's a girlfriend, boyfriend trauma, where somebody did you dirty, where it's a work trauma, where it's a church trauma. You're always going to be triggered by it. My triggers, you have to recognize what those triggers are. And I'll back up a little bit before I go any further, because I explained this to him. I said, you have to recognize what those triggers are. And you could be triggered by certain things, like a smell, a sound, somebody saying a word, somebody acting a specific type of way, what you've seen on social media, what you watched on TV, what you experienced at work. Something can trigger you to remember that trauma that you experienced, because that trauma is already engraved in your brain, right? It'll never go away. It's like imprinted in your brain. And so I was telling him, like, that person will never get over the trauma, because that's what they experienced. That's a part of them, things of that nature. It's just that when you're in a new relationship and those things happen, you're triggered by the trauma that was from a past relationship. And I communicate those things to you. How will you be able to handle that? And so I said, I don't really pass judgment on nobody, because everybody's experienced something. And whether you know it or not, you know, it is something that you need to work through. And so he talked to me. He had responded, because I guess he probably said, oh shit, she probably come with a lot of trauma. But it's not I do. I come with a lot of trauma that I experienced in my life. I just know how to properly handle the situation, properly communicate, properly walk through the process. Um, because of me going to therapy. You're always going to be triggered by something. Trust me. I was driving the other day, and I had passed this landmark, and I remember being at this. I was going to, because I used to live in Buckhead, so I was going to Buckhead, going to a restaurant. Me and my friends were going having our girls' day, and I was passing the road, and I remember specifically on that road I was in an argument with my ex-husband, and so I was like, damn, I remember going down this road, you know what I'm saying? And now process it real quick because you about to get out this car and hop in, and you got to be, with your girls and everything like that. Process that shit real quick. I gotta process it real quick. It doesn't define you. It doesn't have any effect on you. You don't have to. You have to remember the moment, but don't have to relive the moment. And it was okay. And then you breathe and you move on. So you're always going to be triggered by your past trauma. You could be at a family reunion and auntie may say something that triggered you because of something that you happened in your childhood. Then you going off. You crashed out instead of really sitting down and really thinking like, damn, that really triggered me because of XYZ. Let me breathe. Let me think about it because I actively need to communicate with this person that said this so they won't say it again because I'm trying to heal from it. I personally don't think that you're going to be fully healed from a lot of things. People say, come healed, come healed. No, you're going to always be healing from things. It's a lot of stuff that is dormant that you really don't recognize that you've went through. That's one thing that my therapist told me. Because in my book, I talk about when I was writing my book, I talk about my first moment of losing someone that I loved dearly, and it was my uncle. He's my favorite uncle. And I specifically remembering that, but I was a young little girl. I probably was like 3 or 4. But I remember walking into the hospital. I remember looking at him laying on that gurney. I remember people screaming, "Get her out of there!" And I remember my auntie saying, "Leave her alone. Y'all know how much she loved Bud." And so I remember that. But when I asked my dad, like, when did he die? Like, I was 3 or 4. I wasn't in school. I was a baby. And so, but what triggered that moment is something that I seen. It's kind of like you never will experience, you never will fully get over those things. It's literally about how you process, work through, and move forward. You're not gonna get over it. You just gotta move forward with it because it's with you. It's a part of your story. Um, um, God knew you before you were formed in your mother's womb. He knew exactly what you were going to go through. Sometimes bad things happen to you. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying to brush it under the rug because that's definitely not helpful. But what I'm saying is you got to process, as much as it may hurt, you got to process through those things. Gosh, you got to process those things. It's very important. So I do that with myself. That's why if I am sad, because for me, my processing, well, Agatha, how does that look? My processing is my phone will be off. I don't care about my phone ringing. I don't. I don't. I might hop on off of social media and y'all may not know. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I have people text me, "Hey, I ain't seen you on social media." Oh yeah, I took a break because I needed to because it was just getting wild for me. Like it was triggering a lot of things that I'm trying to process through. Um, like I said, the biggest one is that phone being off. Do not disturb. I will go on that T-Mobile app and turn that phone off for 30 days. If you can't text me, baby, and you better hope that the FaceTime work. I just, the people be like, that's extreme because it's just the way that I process it. You may not want to be able to turn your phone off because you have people that you use your phone for your job. Put your phone on airplane mode. You know what I'm saying? My phone is on do not disturb all day, every day. This one guy asked me, he's like, "Why your phone always on do not disturb?" Because at one point I allowed myself to be open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for a lot of people, and I got burned out, which caused me to go into a depressive state. And I'm depressed, and they done gone on about their life and don't know what I'm going through. You don't get that piece of me. I have to control my inner well-being, my mental health, my emotional and my spiritual health. And in order for me to do that, that's the boundary that I set. So that's one of the things that I do. I journal. When I broke up with when me and my boyfriend called it quits, what I did was, and it's right here, I wrote "Hey Babe" letters. And it literally was things that I thought that I was going to be able to experience with him. I only did it for 30 days because that's how long it took for me to process our relationship. it is what it is. But I wrote Hey Babe letters because we were literally intertwined with one another. And I saw myself being married to this person. Like, we talked about those things. We talked about marriage. We talked about getting a house. We talked about all those things. And so I remember even dating him because I knew him prior to that before we started dating. We dated for 2 years, but I've known him for like 4 since 2020, maybe 2019. And so I knew him 2 years prior, and then we dated for 2 years, right? And so there were a lot of things that me and him have experienced, things of that nature. But in the 2 years that we had known each other, I had a wall up. You will not get that soft part of me because you're not gonna hurt me like I was hurt in my last relationship. And that was a way for me to process and work through. But I put this wall up, this defensive mechanism, things of that nature. And so when I finally was comfortable enough 2 years into dating him, letting those walls down, giving him really just a vulnerable piece of me, it almost is as if it was turned around and slapped back in my face a little bit. Like, you open up to this and he played in your face. But, but how I was able to process that breakup and not really go back into the hole, because when I divorced my ex-husband, I tell people I felt like I was drugged on hot asphalt, like brand new asphalt, like face just dog walk. You know what I'm saying? I was emotionally broken, emotionally, spiritually, mentally broken from my past marriage. So I knew that I did not want to go back to that place when I broke up with this man who I thought I was going to marry, right? So I wrote Hey Babe letters. And literally it was things that I needed to tell him, things that I've accomplished, things that I know that he would be proud of, et cetera, et cetera. And then at that point, it just sits there. It helped me process. So then when I finally got through it and I got out everything that I needed to get out with my Hey Babe letters, um, it was like like a sigh of relief. Like, okay, I'm not gonna be sad. I'm not going to have anxiety if I see him come across my social media page, or even if I run into him, because he still is in the same area that I live in. So I don't want to be at a Publix or at a Kroger or at a Target and I see him, you know what I'm saying? Or, or driving down the road or whatever the case may be. Like, it always fucking happens, right? I always run into somebody. Always. But I was able to process that through journaling. Like I said, video, like turn your phone on and record yourself talking to yourself. It's okay. Like 9 times out of 10, I know we all talk to ourselves. Even if you talk to yourself in your car, things of that nature, talk that shit out. And then if all else fails, go to therapy, guys. Go to therapy. Have somebody who doesn't know you. It's okay to talk to your friends, because I do communicate sometimes my sad moments and my depressive and my anxiety moments with my friends. But at the end of the day, like, sometimes they are going through a lot of things too. And I don't want to put that burden on them. I don't want to have to cast my cares onto my friends because they got a lot of stuff going on, and I don't like to dump my issues on them. Although I know that they are very supportive and here with me and help me walk through life, at the end of the day, I know they got a lot of things going too. If you're very religious, go to church. I'm gonna tell y'all about casting your cares up onto the Lord, things of that nature. God be sick of us casting the same thing. Okay. Laying it down at the I told Jesus, I'm not coming back down here to that altar. I done laid it there. I'm not picking it up. You're going to have to help me through this. But if that's something that you can do, and you think like if it helps you and it works, do that. There are ways that you can process through these things to help your mental state be a way that you can manage or maintain your life. I tell my kids this is another thing that I do. And it's gonna go into finding time for self-care. When I feel like I'm anxious and things of that nature, I need to do something for myself. I today, because of what I went through, I went and purchased myself some flowers. Publix, I purchase myself flowers all the time because I love flowers. Flowers are my weakness. Like, buy me flowers and you get any and everything out of me. But I love creating my own bouquets. And so I would go to Publix. Publix has 3 for $12. I'll buy 3 for 12s. I may spend $24 to get enough to create a beautiful bouquet that I can walk in and see every day. I don't have to, I love to get flowers, but I don't have to necessarily leave it. So this is step one of my self-care process. I do have a process. Step two is, getting maintenance done with myself. Either as I get my hair done, get my nails done, get my feet done, going to the spa, getting a massage. I'm gonna get back into getting facials because I used to do that a lot a long time ago. Um, when I made a lot of money. Um, Things of that nature. So like finding that time for self-care. My kids know, and I'm very upfront with my children. We have just such an open relationship. I'll cry in front of my kids. I don't think it's you might think so, but this is my opinion. When you have children, I don't think that it's healthy for you to hide those emotions from your children, because your children are going to grow up to think that you're superwoman. And they're going to always grow up to think that you never cried and you never were sad and things of that nature. And so it's going to put some sort of effect onto them, and thinking that they don't have to necessarily show their emotions if they're feeling angry, sad, um, anxious, things of that nature. I'm very upfront and open with my children. And they it starts when they're young. You know, I tell my kids, shoulders are heavy today, or mommy, office hours are done. I've given you 18 hours of myself fully available to you. I, I'm done. I'm closed down. You got to give me that space. If I'm not better for myself, or if I don't take care of myself, I'm not going to be a better asset for you guys, to be a better mother for you guys. I don't like to yell at my kids. I don't like to whoop my kids. I don't even like to punish my kids. They rarely get in punishment. The only thing that I have to fuss about is cleaning their rooms and doing the dishes. Them the only two things. But we talked through a lot of things today. Even today, Soraya, school starts in another 2 weeks, and she's already knowing her classmates and things of that nature. And there's one particular class where she about to like message her advisor and say, I don't think that as a benefit of me and my mental health that I could be in a class with these people. They messy, they filled with drama, they always like to start stuff, and I just don't want to deal with that. And I think that because I give her the space, the safe space to be able to actively engage with me or explain or express her emotions, that she's able to process that on her own and make decisions for herself. And so I'm always, always, always very open with my children. I may, it's not like I'm, you know what I'm saying? But sometimes when it is much and they on 1500, listen, we got to have a family meeting. Because we do that all the time. We have family meetings. We gather together. We may, spend time with one another, watch a movie, and I'll cook and things of that nature. But at the end, they understand the importance of mental health. If I feel like you're sad, you're sad. And my thing is this: I don't harper on them, because one thing I do hate is, someone always asking, "Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? Is there anything wrong? Is there anything on your mind you need to discuss with mommy? How are you emotionally feeling?" If they don't want to discuss it, well, you don't have to discuss it right now, but you can come back to me at a later date and a later time and explain to me. Providing that open space for them to know how to process their emotions and their mental health is very important to me, because of things that I've learned and what works for me. And so, but my kids know, baby, when I'm stressed, garage door. They know when they hear garage door and there's no explanation given as to where I'm going. They just follow my location, things of that nature. And when I come back, how was your day, mom? Did you enjoy yourself? That literally is if there's no questions asked. I have to sometimes do that because I don't want to put what I'm going through or my burdens and my pains onto them. I don't want them to ever feel the heaviness that sometimes that I feel, right? But there are some times that I explain to them, like, look, shoulders are heavy. Y'all got to give me some grace at this point. And they're not they don't turn up all the time, but you know how little kids do, the little the little bickering and arguing as siblings do. They don't fight or anything like that. They more so communicate with one another versus then arguing, yelling, screaming at one another. But sometimes that get on my nerves too. So I got to go because I'm dealing with 500 other things. I just don't have time. Y'all work that shit out between yourselves. If mommy need to come in and mediate, I'll be back. But that's a part of my self-care, and it literally sometimes is me just getting in my car, blasting my music, and driving around 285. I do that sometimes, especially when I'm have high anxiety or I'm really sad and depressed. Music soothes my soul, and so if I can take 55 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour around the perimeter and just listen to my playlist in peace, safely, that's what I do. I take myself out to dinner. I date myself. I don't wait on anybody to want to hang out with me. Yeah, you want to hang out, that's cool, but 9 times out of 10, I'm probably gonna go and have dinner on myself. I'll look, it's food in there, it's noodles in there, it's hot dogs in there, sandwich meat, tuna fish, um, cereal, pizza, Jamaican beef patties, breakfast sandwiches. Hell, I'll even cook y'all. It's some spaghetti in there. I don't want it. So I'm going to take myself out to dinner. you know? You can call it selfish or not, but I deserve that piece of sanity. So that's one thing that I do too. Um, Outside of things. And a lot of people say, oh, that's just maintenance. No, that's self-care because you may be able to maintain yourself by getting your hair done, your nails done, things of that nature, going to the spa, getting facials every week, but some people cannot. And so that is considered self-care for them. And so those are ways that I do find time. I take myself out twice a month, once with my friends and once by myself. Um, if it is where we hanging out every weekend, I do fun things that kind of like uplift my spirit and things of that nature with my friends, my kids. I try to ensure that my children are included. So maybe one day, we may go to a park or we just may get in the car and go down to my parents' house, just to get out the house and things of that nature. But we do that. I get my hair done every 2 weeks if I can. Nails and things done if I can, things of that nature. I just have to make sure that I find time for myself. Because one, like I said, you're always literally putting yourself last when it comes to your children, your family, your work, anything like that. But you have to literally find time for self-care because that is actually medicine to your mental health. Like it literally nourishes your soul. So those are just some things that I manage my stress and anxiety. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm completely healed. I have anxiety attacks. I get panic attacks. I still work through my depression. Thankfully enough, I'm not on any medication to help, stabilize the imbalances of my brain and things of that nature, which I'm very, very grateful for. But that's not to say that if you need it, get it. You know what I'm saying? Like if that's gonna help you maintain or balance whatever it is, get it. Those things are very important for you. I want to live on this earth like my great grandmother and my great aunts. They lived to be 100 years old to 114 years old. And baby, they didn't even look their ages. I'm not trying to be stressful. Like I know when I'm stressed out is when I start getting breakouts. My big age of 40 and I still have acne and breakouts. That means that I'm stressed out. I have anxiety, things of that nature. I need to figure out what has triggered this stress and what has triggered this anxiety and what can I do to not have these blemishes and these breakouts because I don't have bad skin. I just know that when I get these blemishes and breakouts, something about to can give, okay? And assessing mental health resources. I think that is very important. A lot of you guys know that there are apps out there like the Calm app. I use that one. BetterHelp. That's an app or a resource that have therapies that can fit your budget needs. Um, Black therapists in Atlanta, things of that nature that I use. Google whatever is in your community and in your area, start it. If you have healthcare, start with your healthcare provider. A lot of times, I will say this from my experience, private therapy works better than actually going through somebody up under your healthcare. I just feel like it's just numbers to them. But if you can find somebody that is private therapist, then do. Ask your friends because you never know. Like my therapist was referred to me by my friend. And I was very skeptical because I'm all like, I don't want to go ahead and discuss, and she might share it with my friend, but she didn't. You know, she's very professional, things of that nature. But I asked them, and they were like, you need to go see her. So ask your friends, ask your family members, ask your coworkers. Like, do y'all have a therapist? I think that it's very important to build a solid community when it comes to finding those mental health resources, things of that nature. And if you ever feel in like you're putting yourself or anybody in danger, like call the helpline. Um, it is very, very, very important to get or seek the help that you need. Do not, I repeat, do not think that you can walk through this stuff alone if you feel like there is something wrong with you. There are plenty of people, there are plenty of resources out here that would assist you. You matter. Um, I remember losing someone because of their mental health and they took their life. And I wish that at that point I would have stepped up and been more active in their life. And now I don't want to ever have to put nobody through that. Like as much as my brain or if you Christian folks, the devil want to tell you that you are not enough, you are enough and you matter and you belong here and you have purpose and whatever you're going through is going to be a testament for somebody else that's going through coming behind you. Like you got to understand and know that you are worth your life. I don't think that you would ever have been brought into this world if it was not a purpose of the reasoning why you're here. God has an assignment for you to do, and I think that it's very important that if you feel that you cannot no longer go, that you seek the help that you need, even if it's just DMing me, or commenting it on here and asking about. Baby, I know about 5 therapists that are friends, that work. I literally have a rolling index of a lot of resources because of the people that I know. Seek that help. Go through those processing of managing how to manage your stress and anxiety. Like I said, I'm not a licensed therapist. I just do what my therapist told me to do, and it helps me have a better brain, a better look on life, me being a better person. I think that is very important, especially if you have goals set on your life. And there always is going to be something that's going to come in to tell you that you're not going to be able to do it. That imposter syndrome, baby, it runs my life all the time, and I know for a fact that I know what I'm called to do and what I'm purposed to do, and I cannot allow my head, my space, what I've been through, my traumas, my triggers, my emotions to get in the way of that. Like at some point we got to stand strong and combat and fight those things. Don't let nobody tell you or call you crazy. Because if you are experiencing it and you're going through it, then it is true. How you're going to be able to combat those things and work through those things and process those things is left up to you. And so if you feel like I really want to get on a good step and a good wave and have a good outlook on life, resource the heck out of it. I wish I could link resource pages, which if you're on YouTube, I'm going to put some links in the bio. I mean in the description section of where you can actually go for those resources and those help that help that you need. But you matter. You matter. And as a mom, you matter. You matter. You matter. Them babies need you. They love you. A lot of times kids are resilient. They can understand and comprehend very well. Be vulnerable and open to those things with those kids. Also, don't allow what you went through to come and be a burden for them. Don't allow what you are trying to heal from, process from, and things of that nature become a burden for them to try to fix, but communicate actively and wise enough to let them know that these are the things that mommy is going through. If you're married, definitely have that conversation with your spouse or your partner, and letting them know that these are those things that you experience, and don't back down. If they call you crazy, no, I'm not, because this is what I'm experiencing. And maybe you don't know, and maybe you've never experienced this, and maybe you've never been through these things, but these are the things that I know is true for me. And don't stand down, like don't back down to those things, and say, I'm asking for help, I'm pleading for help, I need support, I need a community, I need a village, I need a tribe to help me through these things. I'm going to actively do the work on my own. I'm not putting the whole work on you, but I just need that support. And when you get that support, it's going to be so easy. It's going to be easy enough for you to process and work through those things. So we are at an hour. I be trying to not have these conversations so long, but y'all, I love I love it. I love it. I love it. I thank you guys so much for listening. Remember to like, subscribe, follow, share, tell your mama them, cousin them, auntie them, everybody them about Rest Mama and what impact we're about to take on for this world. Follow me on all my social media platforms. Oh, I forgot to mention that a part of Rest Mama and managing stress and anxiety and finding time for self-care, I'm actually a travel advisor. If y'all know me, y'all know I love to travel. I've hit every continent on this face of this earth. I talk about my business in the last podcast of balancing work and parenting. If y'all want to take a trip so we can de-stress, let me know, because I'll put it together, put a cruise together, or whatever the case may be. We can go. All right. Love y'all, mean it. Make good choices. Be a leader. Don't be average. Be savage. Ladies, you're beautiful. Fellas, y'all got this. Remember, you matter. You are important. You are worth it. You belong here. And always remember, the marathon continues. All right. Love y'all, mean it. Bye.